Today I have a story that has been stirring up quite the controversy in the daytime television world. A story of unexpected confrontation, bruised egos, and a sudden shift in the balance of power on one of America's most enduring talk shows. We're talking about The View, the show that has been a fixture on daytime TV for years. We've come to expect heated debates, passionate opinions, and plenty of strong personalities clashing over hot topics. But what happened recently with Whoopi Goldberg and Caroline Leavitt may have pushed this daily spectacle into entirely new territory. Now, if you've been following the buzz, you'll know that Caroline Leavitt, a former White House staffer under President Donald Trump, appeared on The View and went toe-to-toe with Whoopi Goldberg over the contentious issue of wokeness. Usually, Whoopi is the one who commands the conversation, often overpowering or interrupting guests who don't align with the show's more left-leaning stances. This time, though, something changed. The tension in the studio was palpable, and the outcome left viewers and the hosts themselves stunned. For years, The View has positioned itself as a platform for women of different ages, backgrounds, and beliefs to share their opinions on current events. In practice, however, critics say the show frequently offers a more one-sided perspective, especially when it comes to conservative guests. One woman at the heart of this phenomenon is Whoopi Goldberg, the show's longtime co-host and often the most dominant voice at the table. She's known for her no-nonsense style, her willingness to cut people off mid-sentence, and her inclination to treat her viewpoints as self-evident truths. This approach to hosting has earned Whoopi both fans and detractors. Admirers see her as confident, bold, and unafraid to speak her mind. Critics, meanwhile, view her as dismissive and unwilling to truly listen to opposing viewpoints. It was only a matter of time, some say, before a guest came on the show prepared and determined to stand her ground. That guest turned out to be Karoline Leavitt, a figure perhaps lesser known to daytime audiences, but certainly not someone prone to backing down. So, who is Karoline Leavitt? If you haven't heard much about her, here's a quick primer. She's a young conservative figure who served in President Trump's White House and has become increasingly vocal in right-leaning circles. Although she's faced criticism for her staunch defense of Trump's policies, she's widely recognized as articulate, media-savvy, and unafraid of political brawls. As one of the youngest press secretaries in U.S. history, Leavitt caught media attention for her composure behind the podium. Some saw her as a fresh face of a new generation of conservatives, while others dismissed her as a product of a polarizing administration. Regardless, she's no stranger to heated debates. When The View's producers booked Caroline Leavitt, they likely anticipated some conflict, perhaps even hoping for a viral moment to boost ratings. But few could have predicted just how intense and transformative this confrontation would become. The show began in typical fashion: Joy Behar cracking jokes, Whoopi Goldberg smiling confidently, and the other co-hosts exchanging knowing glances. They introduced Caroline Leavitt with a polite nod, but it didn't take long for the atmosphere to grow uneasy. They started by discussing a range of political topics, everything from upcoming elections to broader social issues. Nothing out of the ordinary at first, but then came the wokeness question, which has been at the forefront of cultural debates. The View's panel often defends progressive ideas, championing wokeness as a necessary social awareness. Caroline, on the other hand, has been publicly critical of what she sees as political correctness gone too far. And here's where it all went off the rails. Whoopi Goldberg directly addressed Caroline Leavitt and essentially asserted, "You owe your job to wokeness." The subtext: without progressive efforts to open doors for women, Leavitt wouldn't have the opportunities she enjoys today. In one sense, Whoopi's point was that activism for women's rights has played a key role in leveling the playing field for women in politics and media. However, the way she framed it came off as dismissive, implying Caroline's merits, intelligence, and hard work were overshadowed by a progressive agenda that Whoopi believes paves the way for young female conservatives to even exist in the public sphere. Caroline's immediate reaction was telling. She did not flinch. She offered a polite but firm smile, the kind that says, "Game on." It was at that moment that the energy in the studio shifted. The audience seemed to feel it too. Some applause, some nervous laughter, a few gasps. Even Joy Behar, typically ready with a snappy retort, looked a bit unsettled. Instead of getting emotional or launching into a personal attack, Caroline used a strategy few had seen on The View before. She came armed with data. She cited government spending reports, line by line, detailing how taxpayer funds have been funneled into programs she labeled as excessively woke. She highlighted everything from gender studies initiatives abroad to children's media projects that push certain social narratives. Caroline's argument was that wokeness, while once rooted in valuable social awareness, had become a political tool used to silence people who disagree and to funnel money into ideological projects. Whether or not you agree with her assessment, it was clear she had prepared these talking points with meticulous care. Suddenly, the conversation was no longer in Whoopi's control. The View's usual formula, where a conservative is grilled and made to defend their stance under quickfire commentary, was turned upside down. The audience audience sensed it. The co-hosts sensed it. The cameras captured every moment as Caroline methodically laid out her case against wokeness. If you've watched The View over the years, you know it's rare to see Whoopi Goldberg at a loss for words. She's usually quick with a dismissive hand wave, a sarcastic remark, or a knowing smirk. But this time, she paused. The usual smirk was nowhere to be found, and the retort didn't come. That brief silence was deafening. According to multiple first-hand accounts, even the production team behind the cameras seemed momentarily unsure how to proceed. It's almost like they were waiting for Whoopi to regain her footing and take control again. Instead, Caroline continued speaking, filling the vacuum with more facts and more pointed commentary on how wokeness can backfire on the very people it claims to protect. The tension built with every passing second. Joy Behar tried to interject, but her attempted one-liner fell flat, unable to break the mounting pressure in the room. The rest of the panel exchanged concerned glances. Was this the moment the show's most iconic voice lost her grip on the narrative? Within minutes of the broadcast, clips of Caroline Leavitt schooling Whoopi Goldberg surfaced all over social media. Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. People on the right saw this as a definitive proof that conservative voices could triumph if they come prepared with data and poise. People on the left scrambled to defend Whoopi, suggesting that her comments were misconstrued and that Caroline was oversimplifying the concept of wokeness. No matter which side you're on, the broader consensus was that a watershed moment had occurred. The View, long criticized for its aggressive handling of conservative guests, had finally met someone who refused to be silenced or derailed. This wasn't the first time Whoopi and The View had found themselves on shaky ground. Over the years, the show's hosts have landed in hot water for a range of remarks, some of which led to apologies or even temporary suspensions. Whoopi has been at the center of many such controversies. However, the transcript of this showdown with Caroline Leavitt brought these controversies back to the forefront. People questioned whether Whoopi's dismissive style had finally run its course. They pointed out that for a show claiming to support diverse women's voices, The View often targets conservative women, seemingly denying them the same respect they grant others. One of the most explosive claims from the extended transcript was that The View, and by extension, Whoopi Goldberg, has become a magnet for defamation lawsuits. The transcript cited incidents involving high-profile individuals like Carrie Underwood and Elon Musk. In both cases, The View allegedly took statements to extremes, painting these figures in a negative light that went beyond ordinary commentary. This begs the question, how far can hosts go in labeling or criticizing someone before it crosses the line into defamation? And is The View's style, often combative, occasionally mocking, pushing that boundary too far? Now, whether or not these legal threats have real merit is another question. Nevertheless, the stacking controversies and potential lawsuits put immense pressure on ABC, the network airing The View. When advertisers see a program repeatedly embroiled in legal and PR crises, they start pulling back their sponsorships. Suddenly, what was once a reliable revenue generator becomes a liability. The transcript suggests that the network has been thrown into crisis mode. If The View becomes synonymous with expensive lawsuits and on-air meltdowns, advertisers may decide it's not worth the risk to keep backing the show. Even loyal viewers can eventually tire of the drama if it no longer feels enlightening or entertaining, but rather exhausting. Inside sources, and let's be clear, these are rumors that have circulated online, claim ABC's executives are weighing their options. The question is, does The View's massive brand recognition and longtime following still outweigh the growing controversies and liabilities? Here's the juicy part that's been dominating internet chatter. Is Whoopi Goldberg on her way out? The transcript of Caroline Leavitt's interview ends by suggesting that Whoopi's meltdown, or loss of composure, could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. The speculation is that ABC might present it as a hiatus or a long overdue break, but in reality, it might be the end of Whoopi's era on The View. Why would they cut ties with one of the show's most recognizable figures? Well, if the defamation suits, advertiser pullouts, and viewer complaints keep piling up, the network might decide to reboot the show with a new host, someone they believe can shift the tone and hopefully steer clear of further legal entanglements. Of course, Whoopi has her own loyal fan base and an illustrious career as an actress, comedian, and EGOT winner. It's not a move the network would take lightly, but in television, money and ratings often speak louder than individual star power. So what does this all mean for The View, for Whoopi Goldberg, and for daytime television at large? First, it highlights the growing tension around political discourse, especially in an era where terms like wokeness carry so much weight. Second, it underscores the power of a well-prepared guest. Caroline Leavitt flipped the typical script of The View, forcing Whoopi Goldberg to grapple with facts in a way we rarely see on this show. Third, the revelations about potential defamation lawsuits raise questions about how far is too far when critiquing public figures. If The View truly orchestrated attacks, as some lawsuits allege, then they might be paying the price in legal fees and negative publicity. Lastly, it's a reminder that even long-running shows with iconic hosts are not invincible. In the cutthroat world of broadcasting, a single high-profile controversy, or a series of them, can send a program into free fall, especially when sponsors start walking away. We We've walked through the key moments: Whoopi's dismissive remarks, Caroline's calm yet forceful rebuttal, the stunned silence in the studio, and the wide-ranging fallout it sparked. All of this has left viewers, critics, and even the show's own staff questioning the direction of The View. Could this be a sign that a new generation of conservative voices, people like Karoline Leavitt, are better equipped than ever to challenge mainstream media platforms head-on? And if so, does that spell a cultural shift in daytime television, which has often leaned liberal? Only time will tell how ABC responds to these multiple fires. They might weather the storm as they have in the past, or this might prove the point of no return. For fans of the show, it's both thrilling and concerning to see such a major shakeup. For critics, it's validation that The View's approach has been unsustainable for a long time. For Karoline Leavitt, it's a defining moment that has amplified her profile considerably. And that's the full story: Karoline Leavitt standing her ground against Whoopi Goldberg, turning a typical segment of The View into an unprecedented confrontation. Did this moment unmask the show's vulnerability, or was it just another passing controversy destined to be forgotten in a few weeks' time? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations of the stories that shape our world. I hope you walk away with a clearer picture of what might be happening behind the scenes at one of America's most famous talk shows. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep seeking the truth.